Hello, welcome to another in our series of CMMI Tech Talks looking at specific practice areas within the CMMI model. In today's talk, we're going to return to the causal analysis and resolution practice area, otherwise known as CAR. In a previous Tech Talk, we looked at the practices up to level 3 for CAR. Today, we are going to turn our attention to the level 4 and 5 practices and discuss the high maturity aspects of this important practice area. To recap, causal analysis and resolution is a core practice area within the supporting implementation capability area, which is itself in the enabling category. Causal analysis and resolution is one of only 2 practice areas in the CMMI with practices at level 5, and hence has a particularly important role when looking to establish high maturity processes. Now, let us remind ourselves of the key mandatory model components for this PA, the high-level intent and value statements. Intent identifies causes of selected outcomes and takes action to either prevent recurrence of undesirable outcomes or ensure recurrence of positive outcomes. Value addresses causes of issues, eliminating rework and directly improving quality and productivity. In our companion talk on CAR, we looked at these statements in some detail, but for the purposes of this talk, it is enough for us to see that the intent and value of this practice area is very much focused on the idea of improving and optimizing processes to reduce the impact of undesirable outcomes or to capitalize on positive outcomes. CAR is implicitly about the impact of cause and effect on the work we perform. If something's going wrong, we want to understand why so that we can take steps to remedy the problem, not just in the specific instance in question, but ideally to prevent it from happening again. Similarly, if something has gone exceptionally well, we want to understand what lays behind this unexpected success so that we can try to replicate the conditions that gave rise to such a favorable outcome in future work. By understanding the root causes behind outcomes, we can then further optimize our processes to take this into account. In our previous talk on CAR, we looked at the practices within levels 1 to 3. CAR also includes 2 practices at level 4 and 1 at level 5, and these will be the primary focus for this Tech Talk. CAR 4.1 states, perform root cause analysis of selected outcomes using statistical and other quantitative techniques. Compare this with the previous level 3 practice CAR 3.1. Determine causes of selected outcomes by following an organizational process. It should be obvious that there is considerable overlap between these 2 practices. Both are fundamentally calling for us to perform a root cause analysis on selected outcomes. However, CAR 4.1 specifies we should use statistical and other quantitative techniques to perform the analysis, whereas the level 3 practice does not specify a preference for the type of approach to be adopted when conducting the analysis. If we look at the practice group level characteristics for level 4, uses statistical and other quantitative techniques to detect, refine, or predict the area of focus to achieve quality and process performance objectives. The phrase statistical and other quantitative techniques is repeated in the CAR 4.1 practice statement. In essence, we might paraphrase CAR 4.1 as do CAR 3.1, but now using statistical and quantitative techniques. Note that while the practice statement directs us to use statistical methods when undertaking a root cause analysis, that does not mean we cannot use other quantitative and qualitative analysis methods. CMMI levels build on one another. Once we get to level 2, so the practices of levels 1 to 3 are not subsumed by the level 4 practice they are added to. Hence, we are expected to augment our root cause analysis with appropriate statistical methods, not rely solely on them. The statistical and other quantitative techniques that are called for here are closely connected with another key high maturity concept, that of quality and process performance objectives. For a more detailed discussion of QPPOs, please watch our Tech Talk on managing performance and measurement, high maturity. QPPOs are a key component by which we place elements of our process set under statistical control. QPPOs sets limits against which our process capability can be measured, and this enables us to identify deficiencies in process stability and capability, which is hugely important when we look at the underlying reasons why an outcome has occurred. We can start to correlate outcomes to specific process performance rather than just unusual or exceptional circumstances, and we can base our analysis on actual historical data rather than speculation and subjective assumptions. Just as CAR 3.1 and CAR 4.1 have a close association, CAR 4.2 has a similar relationship to CAR 3.4 and 3.5. At level 3, we are expected to record data associated with not only the causal analysis we perform, but also on the subsequent resolution actions, and then, for those actions that are proven to be effective, we should submit them for consideration as process improvement opportunities. In CAR 4.1, because elements of our processes are now under statistical control, we can evaluate objectively based on measured performance the actual effectiveness of our implemented actions. This is then expanded in the single level 5 practice CAR 5.1. By being able to measure the effectiveness of implemented solutions through their impact on our process capability and QPPOs, we can better identify those actions that will be most effective to be incorporated as future improvements to the organization's processes. An implemented action may be helpful in addressing a specific root cause for an individual project. However, if we can see the action has a beneficial effect on our overall process performance by looking at the outputs from our process performance models, then these actions are ones that are likely to be of benefit to the organization as a whole, and hence should be submitted for consideration as process improvements at an organizational level. By selecting the most effective implemented actions, we can optimize our processes over time through our continuous improvement activities. These then are the level 4 and 5 practices of the causal analysis and resolution practice area. To summarize the main points, high maturity CAR practices seek to apply statistical and other quantitative techniques to root cause analyses to provide objective data to support the analysis findings. Use statistical and other quantitative techniques to understand the effects of an implemented action item on process performance. And use statistical and other quantitative techniques to identify the most effective actions to determine if they further optimize our process performance. Thank you for joining us for the CMMI Tech Talk. If you have questions, please contact us at support.isaca.org.